Hey everybody, welcome to Unscripted, where we're all about inspiring better conversations and helping people think more deeply and critically about faith, life, and leadership. My name is Sam, and I'm here with my good friend and pastor, Mike Alba. How are you?
I'm good, Sam. I've been excited all day, really smiling big right now. I've been waiting to grill you on camera live. This is awesome.
I'm super excited. If you didn't know, we're in this special segment called One More Thing with Mike, and this is where we kind of flip the script, and Mike gets to ask and talk about whatever he wants, because it's one more thing. And he has
Season 2.
These one more things in Season 2. Fantastic. All right, let's do it.
Okay, here it is. Ready?
Yep.
All right, so recently, Pastor Erica was teaching, and her sermon was about suffering.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yes.
All right. It got me thinking. I've been an adult like 30 plus years. I've been a pastor almost 20 years. You have been an adult like 15 years, and you've been a pastor like 12 years or so, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a big question to start with for you today. Have you ever seen as much suffering from friends and people here at church in your lifetime as you are right now in people's lives? In the past year, I'll say even.
I don't even think it comes close. I think the last year and a half has been the most suffering I've ever seen in people's lives by far.
Yeah, okay, good. Because that's why I asked. Like I thought her sermon was stellar, and it really made me think. And I like when sermons make me think. And it got me thinking about suffering in my own life, but then also suffering because in our job, I mean, you get to talk with a lot of people, and one of the honors of our job is really to help people when they're struggling. But for me, in my mind, like this last year has been off the charts in terms of people suffering.
I would completely agree.
Okay, Pastor Sam. Why do you think that is?
It's hard to pinpoint one factor. And I'm just hearing this now. So this is my first time hearing this
that's why it's so fun.
But
now you know what I had last
season. It's great.
Yeah.
But I would point to a number of different things. So let's just get out a few things. I know it sounds, whatever you think of COVID or any of that kind of stuff, there are a few things that specific thing has caused that has been really difficult. One is isolation for people. People have been further from others. I even think about this, and I've talked about this with so many people. School drop-off is a thing where you drop off your kids and pick them up. And when COVID hit, you stop being able to get out of your car and go pick up your kids. And the unintended consequence of that is you stop being able to spend time with people or walk past people or say hello or ask what you thought of the Packer game, any of those kinds of things. You just stop being able to do that. Mm-hmm. And that made people feel isolated, I think. It was a connection point that didn't even realize was happening. And that has happened on multiple fronts. That's just the one I experienced myself. Second thing is there's literally been however many 100,000 people that have passed away. So everybody's been impacted by loss. And that's just on top of what normally happens in everyday life. So there's actual loss. There's isolation. And then in addition to that, the thing that's only been heightened over this last year has been a desire to be angry at people.
Explain a desire to be angry at people.
People want to blame somebody for something because it makes you feel vindicated. Okay. And that feeling that you get when you blame somebody, maybe it gives you a little sense of like, I did something about this problem I'm experiencing, whether it's politics or whatever thing that you're passionate about. But when that happens, really, the vindication feeling only lasts a little while. After a while, you realize the problem's still there and you're still angry.
Okay.
And you have just anger that is fed in large part by social media and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So there's all these little things.
So
that
off the cuff, that's super impressive.
Well, thanks. I'm glad you think that's impressive. But I think about this a lot.
Yeah. I think we're all thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone has coworkers and family and friends. So as I experience other people's lives and hear about suffering, whether it's here at church or my friend group or whatever, I'm guessing, just like you are, everyone everywhere is pretty much experiencing it.
Yes.
You're hurting, other people are hurting. Okay, so we agree so far. Now it's about to get tough.
Can't wait.
Sam, what percentage of this suffering that you're hearing from other people that are experiencing in their lives do you think, Pastor Sam, is self-imposed?
thought you were gonna ask that once you
Oh,
start
really?
going.
Okay.
Yeah, how much? When you said how much is the
'cause
percentage?
I mean, COVID, that's not self-imposed, right? You get this bad disease you don't want, or you lose a friend or a family member, or things happen financially that you couldn't control, like you lost your job. So there's a lot of things that aren't self-imposed.
Yeah.
But what percentage, like as you talk to people, what percentage of their suffering is really by their own choice?
It's got to be so high. I don't even know how to put a percentage on it, but I would say that, and it's hard because it's perceived suffering, right? Like I think I'm suffering, I'm feeling something. So the amount of people that are feeling a sense of suffering, percentage-wise, is probably like 90% that's self-imposed.
Okay,
I think
wow.
that sounds crazy, but I think that's definitely like that.
Okay. So is that, you mentioned earlier about people wanting to be angry.
Yeah.
Does that fit into that bucket for you? Or
Absolutely.
Like, off the top of your head, can you think of other self-imposed suffering?
Sure. So I've heard it said by this guy that I chatted with recently that most of our suffering is unmet expectations. So if you have an unmet expectation, like what's a good example of this? I'm going to live my life in a certain way, and I'm going to get a promotion, and I'm going to have a weekend that I'm going to spend half the day on the couch watching a Packer game or something like that. And then you get to your work that week and you don't get the promotion you were expecting, or you had expectations you were going to get. And then you get to the weekend and you get interrupted 17 times while you're on the couch and you don't get to watch the game like you planned on. Okay. You think you had a awful day. But if your expectations are different, like, hey, I'm going to go to work this week and I'm going to do my best, and I don't have any expectations of any affirmation or whatever. Okay. And then I go to the weekend and maybe I'll get to watch the game, maybe I won't. But if I do for a little while, that'll be great. That change in expectations would have had two very different outcomes of whether you're suffering or not.
So what I think I heard in your answer there was these expectations that we struggle so much with aren't really expectations of ourselves. They're expectations of others.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's not only others, but circumstances too.
Okay, good. Thanks, because you just helped me with that, because I've struggled with all these thoughts too, and that really hits home.
Really?
As I think about my own expectations, I am way more often disappointed in others or a circumstance somewhere, whatever, than I am about my own actions.
Yeah, totally.
And that's probably my problem. Right? Oh no, the food was delivered slow at the restaurant or whatever. Well, it's because your expectation was it was going to come super fast.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you changed that one thing? Like, it's going to take you just expect it to be like half an hour and it's like 5 minutes.
Probably going to be an hour for dinner, and I'm going to have a little drink while I wait or something.
I had this happen last night.
Okay.
This is funny. We went to the drive-thru to get the kids food because it was a really long work day for Meg. So she was like in her busiest season for work right now. So I was like, hey, we'll just grab takeout for the boys, so we don't have to worry about that. So we go after school, and like 5:20 at Culver's is always crazy, like line to the road. I go. It's 2 cars in front of me. It was the best experience ever. I was elated that I had to wait like very short amount of time. And the expectation was that I was going to have to wait like a half hour, and it was going to be nuts with a couple of kids in the car and everything. But it was actually wonderful. Nice. Because I got my expectations were surpassed.
So you're a better man than me, Sam. Because I had a similar experience in this last week.
Okay, sure.
My son and I were fishing, and on the way back we had to stop for gas. Like I always run my truck down to
yeah.
It's got to be like on less than 10 miles to go, or I don't want to stop for gas. So like every week or so I have this problem where I'm almost running out of gas. I got to find gas.
Okay.
So I was coming home from fishing with him, and we stopped for gas. And I was thinking it'd be a piece of cake because it wasn't like a busy time of day or anything. And we pulled into the gas station, and like there were no pumps available. Like there's like lines at the pumps. I did not want to wait, Sam. My expectation was quick stop for gas.
Yeah, for sure.
And now
it's
I had
to
to
take
wait.
5 minutes.
And like I wasn't like a super jerk about it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like loving it either. Okay. I'm just kind of sitting there a tiny bit perturbed. All right.
Totally.
But then there was a dude who had filled up his truck, and he looked at me and he waved and he pointed like, should he get out of the way?
Oh, wow.
That was so nice, right?
That's amazing.
And I was like, yeah, thumbs up. Like, and he did. He pulled off to the side, and then he went into the gas station to get whatever, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That so made my day. It was like such a thoughtful, nice thing to do that took him a minute. It only took him a minute.
Yeah.
But it like totally changed my perception that day, right? So I pulled up and started to get gas, and then my son was going to go in and get a candy bar or something in the gas station. And I told him to find that dude and like buy him a candy bar or something, just as a thank you.
That's awesome.
So, but it's cool, right? Like
it's so great.
My expectation wasn't met at first. Then he more than met my expectation. And then I couldn't even handle it. It's like, but get him a candy bar, get him a meat stick, something, right?
Something good.
So
Yeah,
it was
that's
just
a great
fun.
idea.
So it's cool to look at it even both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. How somebody can like make an impact in your day.
Yeah.
Even. That's really
And
cool.
if you have the right mindset, how most of the impacts could actually be positive impacts,
yeah,
not negative.
totally.
Right? So it changes your whole day.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So awesome. All right. So as we talk about this, there's been a phrase I've heard bandied about quite a bit now on the internet and on TV and stuff. I think you're probably familiar with this phrase, the Great Resignation.
Oh yeah, you've talked about this. I haven't heard a lot about this, only from you guys though.
Okay.
So I'm curious.
Natasha brought it up at
Yep.
a staff meeting, and we've talked about it a little bit around here. What do you think it means?
The sense I get from it is everybody's quitting everything. So
Yeah.
like if you have obligations with a school council or something, or your kids go to certain sports,
You're getting off the board.
You're
or,
getting
like,
off
yeah,
the things. You don't
yeah,
want responsibility right now.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I get a sense of.
Yeah, so it's come up in conversations with people over the last month or so, and then I just happened to be on the internet the other day, and I don't know why this popped up, like on my YouTube feed or something, but it's Inc. magazine, like INC period. It's a business magazine.
Yeah.
I don't like super read business magazines, but if something's interesting, I'll take a look. And sure enough, it was about the Great Resignation.
Wild.
So I was curious, and I read it, and it was trying to help businesses like keep employees. It said like 50% of all employees everywhere in all industries are looking for jobs elsewhere.
Yeah,
like
it's
they're
nuts to
so,
think about.
and it's what we're talking about, right? Like they're experiencing suffering, and part of their suffering is they don't like their job right now, and they're just looking to get out anywhere. So I read that article, and then I met with a pastor the other day who's really connected to lots of churches, and we were just talking, and he mentioned how that's happening in churches.
Sure.
And it was curious to me, because here you have all these people with jobs saying, I want to get out of my job, and 50% are, according to Inc. magazine or whatever, are leaving. And then according to him, the stuff he had studied, he said like 33 to 50 or 60% of people in churches
Yeah,
are kind of fed up, and like they just want to try something else.
definitely.
How can that possibly be linked, Sam? How can people in businesses, their jobs, be experiencing the same thing as people are experiencing at churches? Because it's not their job. Like, geez, I don't know. It confuses me.
I have a hypothesis about this. So for me, in this last year and a half, so many people have had so much strife and difficulty and things that they just couldn't predict. So there wasn't a sense of safety in their lives. And because of this, they're looking for something they can control. So some part of their life where they can make a change, make a shift, do anything so that they'll feel like their life is headed somewhere. And because of that, feel a little bit safer. And my thought is, with this particular example, church can feel like a low-hanging fruit to do a change with, because the connections that people have to churches over the last 50 years have slowly gotten smaller and smaller. It used to be like growing up, you're a part of church and you're part of that church for life. Like that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And that's how it, that
You
that
went
is-
to your parents' church.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's not so much the case anymore. It's very much a ability for people to move from one place to the other. The tie isn't as tight, which is unfortunate, I think, in some ways. And I get why sometimes there's good reasons to move churches and all that kind of thing. I get that. But right now in our society, to think maybe if I go someplace else on a Sunday morning, I'll feel a little bit better about myself because I'm controlling something and doing something, and I'm kind of fed up with a couple of things I'm hearing. I don't know, maybe it's an easy story to tell yourself that you're improving your life based on, because you maybe don't want to hear a certain thing for one Sunday, and maybe somewhere else you won't hear that. And I don't know.
Okay. Wow. I'm glad I'm asking these questions, Sam.
What do you think about that?
I tried purposely not to think about it too much because I wanted to be open to whatever you said, and I think you really hit home for me. It's interesting that the church thing. I know a lot more about the church world than the business world. Because I've been in it for so many years here at church, and I think you're right. And like to leave your job is difficult because you got to find a whole other job, and one you actually like more than your current job with the right amount of pay and everything. Where to say, okay, I want to step out of whether it's church or some board that you're on or whatever. It's just so much easier to say, I'm going to try something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the point you just made that makes total sense to me is over the last year plus of COVID now, we just have weaker connections.
Yeah.
Like in our friend groups and everything, because people don't get together like they were, and even family sometimes, like you haven't met with them as much last year as you have previously because of COVID. So with not being in church, seeing all your friends and stuff, and not feeling that love and connection with people, it's easier just to say, you know what, why?
Yeah, that's
Like,
so
why not,
true.
right?
That's so interesting. I'm even thinking like when you're gone from somebody for a long period of time, it's easy to tell yourself stories about what they think.
Yeah.
And like assume that they think a certain thing or believe a certain thing,
Yeah.
and therefore are not worth engaging in or whatever. And normally it's negative. I
Right.
don't know if you're
Yeah.
away from somebody for a while and maybe they just haven't talked to you, you're assuming something happened or they believe something that or is different than you, and so it's just a connection you're gonna cipher off or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think that's really interesting that disconnection that happened over the last year maybe actually contributed to that, and people having negative feelings because of that.
Yeah, and it, as you think about it in the business world about connections or a church, it's across the spectrum. Like it doesn't matter what type of business it is. It's not like one industry is being affected. And from what I've studied now and talking to people that I know, it's the same in the church world. It's not certain denominations. It's not like all the Lutheran churches are losing people or whatever. It's all churches, all different types of churches. Denomination or background doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's totally it.
But people are people, whether you're at work or at any type of church or any type of organization at all. Yeah. We're still all people at our core.
Yeah, my favorite line is my favorite sayings I have is people are people everywhere.
Yeah.
Whether you're in Ripon, Wisconsin, or across the globe, people are people everywhere, and they have the same things and tendencies as people everywhere.
Yeah.
You made me think of something else. Oh, one of the things that a business article I read that's similar to this is people are moving to different businesses without ever actually meeting in person the people that they worked with, because so much has become working from home.
Yeah.
And it's even easier to make those disconnections there, because literally you still show up to the same office as in your house, and your new boss or whatever just shows up on the computer screen, and you could have like one day when the next week you have a whole new thing, but your life hasn't changed.
I've talked to 2 people this week that have experienced that exact thing.
That's so wild.
Like whole new job, and through the hiring process and everything, we're never in person with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's mind-boggling to me. I mean, I understand it's today's world and all that stuff, but like, I just can't imagine it for myself. Like to have a whole big change like that and never even meet somebody is
I feel
odd.
I feel like it loses something though. Like there's something about human connection and being with other people that is so central to us being humans. Yeah. Like we learn to care for people even if we don't agree with them, like, which is another topic for another day. Yeah. But there's something there that you just I don't know.
All the nonverbal cues and all the stuff that happens interpersonally when you're with someone makes a big difference.
It really, really does. Something I wanted to talk about with that. When you're with a person, there's a quote that I heard. I can't remember. I can't quote it off the top of my head, but I think it was Bonhoeffer or something about him. But the basic essence of the quote is the idea. You can love the idea of Christian community. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can love actual Christian community, or you can love the idea of Christian community. And if you love the idea of Christian community, what will likely happen is you'll do more harm to it than good, because you won't find your idealized idea of it anywhere, and you'll do a lot of harm wherever you go. And that was just incredible.
What I think is incredible is you just pulled a Dietrich Bonhoeffer quote out of the air somewhere.
Well, thank Instagram, because I just saw it there. But anyways.
Okay, I'm guessing we're probably close to out of time, and I think you said it earlier about restlessness. Yeah. So whether it's church or in the business world or with our families, wherever in our lives, either what do you do for yourself to help you battle this restlessness, or what would you suggest to someone else? Because apparently we're all going through it. Yeah. So give me your last word here on what do we do to combat restlessness in our lives?
That's a really good question. I think there's a few things that come to my mind. The first one is actually being with people like we're talking about matters. And so if you're feeling isolated and like you're not with anybody, make a concerted effort to spend time with others. I mean, honestly, coming on a Sunday morning is a really big thing. You may not realize how much it matters to be in the presence of other people if you haven't been. Like I really encourage it.
Can I add that? 'Cause
Yeah,
even
please.
not outside the church world, even in your job, if you're able to,
Go
to the lunchroom or the lounge or whatever and have lunch with people.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
If you can, like, get away from your desk and connect.
It matters because it just gives you perspective for a little while. It makes you realize that there are other people out there, and there are people that care about you, and you can care about them, and that gives you purpose. Both of those things are really powerful. And the second thing is there's three things. So the second one is expectations. I think it really does matter what we're doing, the stories we're telling ourselves. One of the stories is, I need this in order to be okay. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe the expectation you're setting for yourself is only there because you've heard it from whatever voices online or on TV or whatever else. And in reality, that's not essential for you to have a happy, healthy life, to look a certain way, to have a certain group of friends, to eat or drink certain foods or go to restaurants or vacations. Those things are helpful, but maybe don't rate your life based on what everybody else is doing. Think about expectations in that way and whether you're basing them off of comparison or what actually is healthy for you.
Yeah.
And then the third thing I'd say is when you spend a day racing through it, and when you have a spare minute and the first thing you do is pull out your phone and scroll Instagram or anything else like that, it's hard for your brain to ever settle down. And I think one of the things that I've been trying to do personally, and this is just real honest stuff, is to go on like walks with my family without the phone, and or to have time where instead of having the phone, I literally just try to pray in very simple, normal human terms with God. And what that does in my brain is, in my heart, is settle me down in ways that are really, really helpful. And I notice a difference in my life. So,
wow. Okay. Can I you're better at wrapping this up than me. I still don't have that part down. But before we wrap up, let me just jump off of that a second. Because what you just did very well is gave people like active suggestions.
Yeah.
How they can feel less restless.
Totally.
Or feel better. And I'll just flip back for a second. When I asked you what percent of our unhappiness or whatever is self-imposed, our suffering is self-imposed, and you said 90%, I would have said probably 60. So wherever, it's well over 50%. Who knows exactly where? But for anyone listening, a lot of what you're suffering through is self-imposed.
Yeah.
So just make better choices for yourself.
Yeah, and I don't want to make light of real suffering.
Oh, I know that. There's tons of bad things.
There's some really real suffering.
People are mistreated all the time, and
there's
horrible
loss,
things, sickness. Yes, I absolutely agree. We're not talking about that. But to look at what's frustrating you, what's hurting you, what's making you angry, what's the instigation of your suffering, and then look more to yourself and see what portion of it could you eliminate from your life just by making better choices for yourself.
Absolutely.
Controlling what you can control.
Yeah,
right?
I completely agree.
So there's my 2 cents at the end.
I think that's awesome. Thanks so much for wrapping us up. Thanks so much for everybody for listening. And we hope this was encouragement to you. And if it was an encouragement to you, share it with other people. That'd be awesome. You can follow us on Instagram at RCC Unscripted, but only go there for a little while, then turn off your phone. But anyways.
Or they could email me tough questions that I can ask you.
That's fantastic. Yeah, please. That would be awesome. I love the tough questions. But with that, thanks so much. And we'll see you back here next week.